What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/EntitledParents. This story's called Entitled Mother Gets in My Ride and Accuses Me of Giving Her Coronavirus. This was my craziest Karen encounter ever. By the way, this is on mobile, so sorry if it's a bit long. So, a bit of backstory. I live in the Philippines and we have this vehicle called the tricycle, or motorized tricycle. Tricycles are a very common form of transportation here and they have their own system in transportation. This will be important later. So anyways, here is the cast. Entitled Mother, Entitled Kid, Tricycle Driver, Tanid 1 and 2, I'll do their voices later. So it was a Saturday and I have to go to a group practice, so I go to check if there are tricycles outside and there was. I signal Tricycle Driver and he drove to me. That's when I notice a foreigner about 10 feet away from me. Classic Karen, hairstyle and everything. She had with her, I think, a 10-ish-year-old boy, Entitled Kid. She sees me and immediately started walking towards me with Entitled Kid walking behind her, watching, I assume, TikTok videos. I knew from reading the stories here what was gonna happen, so I prepare myself. Excuse me, young man? Yes? I'm sorry, but we were here first. Now, the system of riding a tricycle is simple. If you signaled for the driver first, then they go to you first. Even if they were there waiting for about an hour. If they didn't notice you, they won't go to you unless you signal for them. Entitled Mother said she has been standing there for 10 minutes and she was first, so she gets to ride first. I tell her the system. I tell her this whilst speaking in English, of course, but in a way that you would conclude that the person speaking isn't too good at English. I don't care about the system here. First come, first serve. Sorry, but that's how it is here. Entitled Mother surprisingly accepts this and gives a big huff and stomping back to where she was standing. I thought it was all over when Entitled Kid started whining. Mom, my legs hurt and it's real hot. I want to go to the mall now. It's good to know that Entitled Kid was wearing a tutu, thick pink dress, a pink jacket that has those fluffy collars, and boots that go up to her knees. No wonder she was hot. Who would wear such thick clothing in a tropical country? Now look what you have done. You made my daughter sweat. Well, she shouldn't have worn so much clothing. We have a hot climate, you know? Entitled Mother still blames it on me, but I just don't care anymore because it's been about 3 minutes and I was gonna be late for my practice. So I try to get in the tricycle, but Entitled Mother blocks my path and she herself goes in. Tricycle Driver, who was silently waiting, didn't like this. He spoke in Filipino and Entitled Mother didn't understand anything. Atay nauna si kuya tamawag kaya siya ang sasakay. Lumabas po kayo. Side note from Zach, I tried with the Filipino, don't hate me, which translates in English to, Ma'am, this young man signaled first, so he will be the one to ride. Please get out. What are you saying? Speak in English. I can't understand you. Kuya mag-Ingles ka daw, which in English means, Sir, she said to speak in English. Naku kuya di ako masyado marunong mag-Ingles eh, which translates to, that's too bad, I'm not fluent in English. Entitled Mother was standing there, not understanding a thing. Hey, what are you two talking about? I can't understand either of you. He said he isn't too good in English. Well, of course, he's a lazy ass that probably didn't even finish school. I told Tricycle Driver, kuya parang magagalit kayo pag trinanselit ko eh. Which means in English, sir, I think you would be offended if I translated it back. To which he said, sige, ito na lang. Ihahatiin ko siya sa barangay. Diyan hintayin mo ako dito. Which in English means, alright, I'll just drop her off in the barangay, which is like a police station. Over there, wait for me. I nod my head and Tricycle Driver drove off to the barangay nearby whilst Entitled Mother looked at me and gave me the smuggest smirk ever. I knew what Tricycle Driver was gonna do, so I waited for him patiently. Around 4 minutes or so later, he came back and told me to hop in and drove off. While in the ride, he told me what happened. So basically, Entitled Mother asked Tricycle Driver where they were, in which Tricycle Driver replied, sa barangay. And of course, Entitled Mother didn't understand. He talked to one of the Tanids, like a sheriff or something, about what happened, and they escorted entitled mother and entitled kid out of the vehicle. One of the Tanids said that tricycle driver didn't have to stay and they'll handle it. So fast forward to me going home from practice. I was once again using a tricycle for transportation, but didn't have the complications on the ride. I had problems at the drop-off. I saw entitled mother standing in front of our gates, not really ours because we live in a compound, and she saw me. She then ran towards me like a mad bull, and I was there standing still as stone, thinking, how did she know where I lived? Turns out, after getting fined by the Tanids for something, I don't really know the laws around here because I'm only 14, she asked one of the guys chilling there if they knew where I lived. Unfortunately for me, they knew me and understood English, so they pointed at our gate. She stood there for probably hours waiting for me. Hey you, why you little bastard? I got fined because of you! Me? You were the one at fault here. It's now a good time to say that I can sometimes sneeze out of nowhere. I don't really know if it's because of allergies. I don't really have any. I don't really get sick easily. So it wasn't that, or just that my nose was getting irritated. So I felt I needed to sneeze, so I looked to my left and continued to sneeze. Entitled mother, however, stopped berating me with curse words and looked horrifyingly disgusted. Oh my god, he has the coronavirus and he just sneezed on me. He infected me with it. You Asians should just die because he brought the virus to our country. Now we're gonna die. Everyone who heard her screams looked confused as to why she was screaming. Lady, I assure you, I have a pretty much working immune system and no coronavirus. And what do you mean we Asians need to die? Who are you? Reincarnated female Hitler with health issues? Help! He's assaulting me! Call the police! Now, someone already called two of the Tanids before she said this. Now, they spoke in Tagalog, but I'm just gonna translate what they said in English. What is going on here? Help! He harassed me and assaulted me. Lock him up now. He also gave me coronavirus and I'm gonna die. Tanid 1 already looks annoyed at her. Tanid 2, who was a bit behind, what happened? Tanid 1 and Tanid 2 saw me and recognized me because both of my grandfathers, my mom's dad and my dad's dad, are also Tanids, and they may have seen me with them or my grandfathers might have talked about me to them. I'll call my grandfathers Manny and Don. Hey, you're Don's grandson, right? What do you mean? He's Manny's grandson. I'm actually both. Oh! Entitled mother butts in. Hello! I'm the one that called you here because this SOB assaulted me and gave me the coronavirus! We heard you the first time, lady. Entitled mother went quiet for about 15 seconds. Tanid 2 said to the people chilling there, okay, so does anybody know what happened here? One guy stands up from the crowd and hands Tanid 2 their phone. It was someone who knew me and turns out they recorded the whole thing. Entitled mother wanted to say something, but Tanid 1 immediately shut her down. They looked at the footage and knew who was at fault. Entitled mother tried to escape, but one of the guys held her from running away and 2 blocked her path. Tanid 1 and Tanid 2 escorted her to the barangay whilst she was shouting curse words and names at me whilst giving me death stares. And I was there standing and asking myself, where the heck was Entitled Kid? Turns out, her dad picked her up from the barangay but left Entitled mother. This happened 2 days ago and I still wonder what my parents would say if they found out. Yes, I didn't tell them. But I knew they were gonna find out someday because, again, both my grandfathers were Tanids, and Tanid 2 and Tanid 1 might tell them what happened. Oh well, that's it for my first Entitled mother encounter. She was one of the craziest I've encountered. Thanks for reading. Again, sorry for butchering the Filipino language. I tried, because it's fun trying to read other languages. But that's disgusting. Freaking getting sneezed around in someone else's country, and you're just gonna scream coronavirus and make these gross generalizations that are just gross. When you go to another country, please be respectful of the people there. That's their home, man. This story's called Entitled Grandmother and Most of My Family Tries to Get Me Married. I would like to thank all those who liked my comment on a different post talking about the same kind of issue, so I am posting the whole story from the start. Buckle up, fellas, it's gonna get real Bollywood in here. For context, I am an Indian male. My parents were not from a very well-to-do family, hence they had to work their way up. Usually there used to be no one at home, as both my parents used to be at work for most of the day. My grandmother, who stayed at home, virtually raised me. So I was in university in USA, where I have an American girlfriend. We have a pretty good relationship since the last 2 years. We're getting married this December. Woo woo! I returned to India for my holidays, and everything was going well until my grandma made an announcement at the dinner table. "Opie, so what are your marriage plans like?" Nobody in my family knew that I was in a relationship except my mom and dad. I told her I wanted to set up a good career first before getting married. My grandma laughed and said, "Listen kid, there is no perfect time for a marriage, trust me. You should get married soon, you are young and can have kids now." I almost choked on my salad as my parents stifled a laugh and my younger sibling looked at me cluelessly. I was gonna make a reply, but my dad spoke up, and that's when I realized crap got real. "Opie has an American girlfriend. He really likes her." And then my dad laughed, my mom did too, and my younger sibling started to tease me and laugh until he fell from the chair. Everyone was laughing and I was blushing, but my grandma, she looked like someone has asked her for both of her kidneys. She didn't say anything much. The next day, I was leaving the house when my grandma stopped me. "Opie, we need to talk." I was clueless, but then she told me the following in my mother tongue. "Listen, kid, you should end your relationship with your girlfriend. I made your father show me her images, and she is nothing but a foreign floozy. You should really marry an Indian woman with good values." I was taken aback. I told her, "See, I know it looks weird to you that I actually have a girlfriend, but I really like her." My grandma was having none of it. "This girl would take away all your happiness. My friend has a granddaughter, 1 year younger than me. You should marry her." You are trying to tell me that I'll be sad with the girl whom I chose myself to be my girlfriend and build a stable relationship with, but I will be happy with a girl I have never met before. She told me in the most boomer tone, "Back in my day, people married to the suitor chosen by their family members." I laughed and went out of the house, slamming the door. I did not want to argue with her. She was beyond repair. The next day, it was my granduncle's 70th birthday. All my family was gathered there. A total boomer fest. And guess what the hot topic was? How OP wanted to marry a non-Indian floozy. Things escalated when every old person in my family made jokes about me. My whole family is jealous of me as I had my education in a really good university as compared to the children and grandchildren of the other boomer B-words. Every single one of them came to me and advised me to marry an Indian girl my grandma chose. At least 12 people. I left the party as soon as possible. I cried that day. Yes, men cry. I talked to my girlfriend via Skype to make myself feel better. My parents were pretty sad on seeing this. The next day, I had a surprise visit from my grandmother, but she came along with that girl's family and the girl. We could not have told them to just go, but as they were pretty good people who were invited by my grandma to pay us a visit, we could not be rude. I wanted to do something, but I felt powerless. Hence, I played along as my parents told me to. They themselves had no idea of the visit, but knew that the best thing to do was play along, as acting nuclear would just insult the innocent family. The girl was your typical, "I will only shtup you to make grandkids for my parents to love" woman. She was kind and good, but not my type. Plus, she was almost like a virtuous zombie with no other traces of personality. I took the situation in my control. Instead of dressing up, I wore my pajamas and met the girl. My grandmother was horrified. My parents talked nicely to her parents, and those guys were pretty polite in a brainwashed, "India is the best country" type of way. I talked awkwardly, just to annoy my grandmother, and did not do my hair. Basically, I acted like I was in high school. It worked. The girl's side rejected the marriage offer by telling my grandma, "That boy was very weird." The first time I was happy to hear that statement. My grandmother got into a lot of trouble. I cut all contact with her and my parents hardly talked to her. 1 year after this incident, I got engaged and now I'm looking forward to a settled life with the girl I actually love. Sorry for the long story, but I just really wanted to put down the whole thing. English is my third language, so please don't mind my errors and thanks for reading. Okay, way to flex on me, kid. Third language, minimal errors. Who the hell do you think you are? Humble bragging like that? Get out of here. I'm kidding. But honestly, I'm surprised he was even able to tell his parents about that. Like, that is just something that's really hard to open up about, really. But congratulations, man. You scored a Gora. You'll be the envy of every other brown dude. This story's called, Today I Fudged Up by Not Noticing My Student Doesn't Have Legs. I'm a grad student teaching for the first time. Public speaking anxiety up the wazoo! So I decided to memorize my 17 students' names and faces before the first day of class. By Wednesday of the second week, I had everyone's face down pat, but everything else in the classroom was an adrenaline-filled blur. On that day, students were picking out an advertisement to analyze. Flashback to freshman college English class, everybody. When I opened up the discussion, I was surprised when one of the quieter students, let's call him David, told me he'd already chosen his ad. That's great, David. Which one did you choose? The Wounded Warrior ad. Me, cheerfully oblivious. And why did you choose that one, David? The classroom suddenly goes silent. No one's rustling papers or texting under the desk anymore. I realize every single wide eye in the classroom is staring at me or glancing uncomfortably at David. David looks at me and shifts his legs. With numbing horror, I register the glint of metal between his sneakers and the hem of his jeans. David doesn't have any legs. In my state of stage fright, I'd somehow missed that one of my students is a double amputee. The silence in the classroom deafens. Finally, David quietly said, "I lost my legs in the army, ma'am." Edit. Many incredibly kind people are saying this wasn't a screw-up, but I should have noticed. I walk around and interact with every student. Sure, maybe I accidentally treated David just like any other person, but he got unwanted attention from everyone in the room because I was an idiot. But many thanks for the kindness. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.